Have you had your dose of pep today? No? Don't worry, I got you! Yo, I am so glad to be back here with you for episode 3 of the Pep Talk podcast. I'm so thankful that you were still rocking with me in episode 3. This is going to be a really good episode. I'm your host, Coach Jay, and the mission of this podcast is to cheer you on and coach you up. That's right. The year is now 2023, and we are not accepting average, right? We're seeking higher performance, higher purpose, higher joy, higher peace. We want every area of our lives to reflect the mantra of higher. Maybe that's your one word for the year if you do that kind of thing, but we're pushing for more. We're pushing to maximize. We're pushing to self-actualize. We are pushing for more. And a huge part of elevation, from what I've discovered, is mind work. And a huge part of growing your mind is reading. That's right. Yeah, I told you all in the first episode that I'm also an English teacher, so I am an avid reader. And if any of my students hear this, they're probably going to groan, and because I'm always hyping up reading. But if you really want to grow, if you really want to elevate, if you really want to hold yourself to the standard that who you are in 2023 is going to be 1%, 2%, 100% better than you were in 2022, you have to understand that in order to lead, you have to read. You've heard that saying, right? Leaders are readers. Well, over the course of this podcast, I'm going to be pushing a large amount of reading on you because I recognize, y'all, I've seen it play out in my own life. And this very episode is about a book that really hit me hard in 2022. We are talking about the book by Paolo Coelho. Maybe you've heard about it. It's called The Alchemist. And I want to talk to you about how reading this book can help you access your goals in 2023. We'll be right back. And we are back. Hey, before I go any further, I want to thank everyone who has sent email into the peppodcast@gmail.com. I love hearing from you. I want to encourage you to keep throwing those ratings up wherever you find this podcast, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating for us and tell us what you like about what we are doing. Reach out to us on Instagram and on Twitter and everywhere else that we are. We want to hear from you. You all are a part of this process and this adventure, and I am so glad to have you along for the ride. Now, have you ever read a book that it just feels like it was set right in front of you for a particular season, and it fit perfectly with where you could see yourself heading in your immediate future? Like, I'm not talking about a book that's going to help you 20 years down the line. I'm talking about something that is so profound, something that is so now-oriented, that it just really just takes you into a whole other headspace and heart space. For me, it was The Alchemist. So let me set some context up for you. The second quarter of school, my honors classes were doing book clubs. And one of the books that we were giving them a choice in was The Alchemist. Now, I hadn't read any of the books for the book club because I'm new back at this school, and I had to do some work, but I decided to start with The Alchemist first because it was the book that I'd heard the most people didn't like it. And so because I can be a contrarian at different points, at different levels, I wanted to start with this book to see if I could rock with it when other people really couldn't rock with it, right? And so to say that I loved it would be an understatement. Like, it impacted me, especially as I'm in a season right now. Like, I'm really trying to see how limitless I really am, right? I'm in a headspace like, Jay, you can do anything. Jay, you can empower people to do anything. Jay, you can pick up the skills to learn to be excellent in anything. You're limitless. And so that's what I'm believing for myself And as I'm stretching myself, it's almost like God just drops this book down like manna from heaven and sets it right in the middle of my class. And I pick it up and I start reading it. And y'all, just the sheer, it's crazy. You know, you listen to a motivational speaker like Dr. Eric Thomas. I'm going to reference him a lot over the course of this podcast because he's just dope. But, you know, he gets up on stage and he is so charismatic, and he is, you know, his voice just gets you pumped and gets you going. You know, you have those kinds of voices. You have that kind of motivation. But you also have the kind of motivation in life that comes through really silently, really quietly. But once you begin to digest it and you can feel it traveling throughout your body, the result is a bomb of realization going off in you that really opens up your eyes to what your life is versus what your life could be. And so as I was thinking about making this podcast, this book came to my mind. And there are 5 things that I want to bring out from 5 themes that I want to bring out from this novel that I think is going to set you on an amazing pathway to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish starting now in 2023 and throughout the rest of your life. So it was written and published. It was published in 1988. It sold over 150 million copies. And after 25 years, y'all, listen to this. After 25 years, The Alchemist by Paolo Coelho is still on the New York Times bestseller list. And honestly, if I were the owner of a company, if I ran any kind of organization, a school, a bank, a manufacturing company, I don't care what it is, I am stopping and I am getting everybody in my organization a copy of this book. And we're going to have pointed, dedicated time weekly where we get together in small pods and we discuss the things that this book is speaking to our lives in this very moment and how we can apply it to our mission and to our vision and into our values. Because I think there is a real opportunity to breathe fresh life into dead vision, to breathe fresh life into dead dreams. And I believe this book offers so many of those necessary conversation arcs and dialogue and discussion arcs that we can have with people, but we can also have them with ourselves. I think what's most impactful to me about this book is that Coelho is on record as saying that having written this book was like a metaphor for his own journey toward accomplishing something that felt impossible. Like he did that, and then he sums that process up in this book, which is almost allegorical in nature. And so I want to, y'all, you're going to want to grab some paper, write these things down, jot them down. I'm also going to put them up on the website, the peptalkpodcast.wordpress.com, because I think that it's important. And I hope that you hear this coming from me directly to you. You need to get what's happening here. You need this in your life. I promise you do. So when we come back, we're going to jump right into theme number 1 and how it's relevant to you achieving your goals in 2023 and beyond. Be right back. All right, 5 takeaways from The Alchemist by Paolo Coelho and how they can impact you reaching your goals. I hope you have your pen and paper ready. Y'all, this is about to get really good. Here's number 1. Discover your personal legend. I'm going to say it again. Discover your personal legend. See, in the book, the main character or protagonist, Santiago, is a shepherd who has a dream telling him to seek out a hidden treasure in Egypt. And Santiago ponders this for a little while before realizing that his purpose in life is to seek out this treasure. It's his personal legend, the task for which he was destined. And see, your personal legend is something that you discover through self-awareness and reflection, through prayer and introspection. And I want to stop right here and I want to say this. Y'all, you're not going to discover your purpose by being 100% surrounded by people 100% of the time. You're not going to discover your personal legend when you are, when you always have something going on in your ears. Discovering your purpose, your personal legend, to keep it in the context of this book, it comes with wrestling with yourself. It comes with looking at who you are and what you want. And sometimes you're not going to like what you see when you look in that mirror, but it's okay. Because at least now you are becoming self-aware. And so after spending time and wrestling with himself, Santiago discovers what his personal legend is, to go after this treasure that is supposedly located in Egypt. So your personal legend could be anything. It could be starting a business, going back to school, solving a societal issue, but you have to discover it and you have to pursue it. See, it's not enough to know what you're supposed to do. If you know what you're supposed to do, when you don't do it, what are you doing? That's almost a hypocritical lifestyle. And I can say that because I've been in that situation before. I've talked to people who've been in that situation before. To know the right thing to do and to not do it, y'all, you're putting yourself in some dangerous territory where you will deal with regrets for the rest of your life, because when you know better, my mom always told me this, when you know better, you do better. And when we're talking about discovering your personal legend, the cool thing about this is that the way the mind works, when you decide, when you set your focus and your intention in a direction toward a goal, your mind begins to pick up on patterns. Your mind begins looking for signs and signals that will indicate that you're headed in the right direction. Your mind will begin forming solutions to problems that you don't even know are problems yet to help you achieve that goal. However, you can't just know the right thing to do. You can't just know what your purpose is. You have to actively be going after it. So point number 1 is to discover your personal legend. Let's move on to point number 2. You have to lose the fear of failure. There's only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. And that is a bomb quote from the book. Let me read that again. There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I could riff on this one for, this could be a completely separate podcast. But in the book, Santiago meets a character called the Englishman. He's a brilliant man who is studying the secrets of alchemy. And if you don't know what alchemy is the science of being able to turn anything into gold. And one of the conversations that the Englishman has with Santiago, is around this whole idea that it is within iron to want to become gold. Like, it wants to do it. And what he's trying to get across to Santiago is this whole idea that it is within us as people to want to become better. It's within us as people to want to accomplish our dreams, to discover our purpose, and to live out the reason that we're here. It's within us to be better. We have to want it. We have to want the intention. But this Englishman, despite all of his study into the ins and outs of alchemy, He never tried it because he was afraid to fail. Y'all, this one sat heavily with me. It caught me by the throat because I fought fearing failure for so long over the course of my life. I mean, who hasn't? And when I started looking back over the course of my life, I could see all the cool things that I didn't even attempt because I was afraid. And in the book, the Englishman hid behind gaining knowledge. Some of us are hiding behind a fear of rejection. Some of us are hiding behind fear of our family. Some of us are hiding behind a fear of discomfort. And I used to wonder, let me back up. I feared rejection, but it's also possible, and I'm thinking about this now, and maybe this hits some of you as well, but maybe you also fear acceptance. Like, maybe you're comfortable in your life, and if people accepted what you had to offer, if people accepted your service or your product, whatever that is, maybe your life would change to such a degree that you would be uncomfortable and you're not ready for the discomfort. Like, what would my life be like if I were booked solid with clients and booked solid with speaking engagements to where I had to be away from my family for blocks of time? And as someone who is thoroughly committed to my family, being away from them is not something that I really want. Or what if it took me into circles that I wasn't sure were really going to accept me? Can you see how that fear begins to work? And again, that's another product of your mind where it's trying to protect you, but it's really hurting you. Because it's coming up with all of these what if scenarios that may or may not ever come true, but they keep you stuck. They keep you trapped in this circle, in this cycle of fear. And over the course of his journey, the Englishman discovered that the harm he had done to himself was not trying. He had harmed himself by not trying. You are harming yourself every time you don't even give yourself a shot to be successful, to be accepted. Friends, you're harming yourselves by not trying. And I'm talking to that one person who can't sleep soundly because they keep having that dream. You know, the dream where you are fulfilled, where you are happy, where you're at peace, where you are living out your purpose. But in reality, you haven't even tried. It's like, y'all, you never truly know all that you can be unless you try. And I can't urge you enough. I can't give you that urgency. I can't look at you and say it's 2023. What happened in 2022 or 2021 or 2011 or 2001 if you've been alive that long? What have you not tried to do? And how would your life be different if you had just given yourself a shot? Right? Maybe it was the program that you wanted to get into for your college degree, but you didn't get in, so you completely gave up on that idea altogether. But maybe you didn't get in because there was something else that you needed to work on. Not that you sucked, not that you were sorry at it, not that you weren't gifted or talented in it, but that just wasn't the time. But you gave up on it completely. Yo, don't give up on yourself. Even if you have to go back to the same door and knock again and knock again and knock again, you leave your blood, your sweat, and your tears and the beating of your heart at that purpose. And you cannot fear the failure. You have to accept that it's a part of life, y'all. It's the failure that is the better teacher in our lives than the successes. It is the failure that builds the want to go after and to get and to obtain. It's the failure that helps you to learn how to embrace the grind. There are days when I make content that I put out on Instagram that gets 5 views. There are days when I make content that gets 200 views. There were days where I would make content where I would get, tens of thousands of views. It's not the tens of thousands of views that tells me what I need to know. It's the content that gets 5 views. Because something about what I did in that video did not resonate with my ideal audience. So where can I go back? And where can I tweak? And where can I fix? And how can I use that failure, that moment of failure, to not personalize it, to not say, Jay, you suck, you shouldn't be doing this. No. Your mind will want to take you to that space, but you cannot allow your mind to have that kind of sovereign dominion over your life. Y'all, if you're going to achieve in 2023, you cannot be afraid to fail. You have to stand ready at all times to push past that failure to achieve your personal legend. And forgive me if I got off on a tangent, but I just believe that there's somebody listening to this who needs that encouragement, but who also needs to hear that challenge. We're here to cheer you on, but we're also here to coach you up. You can't come here and stay the way that you were before you encountered this message. I challenge you to change. I challenge you to not fear the failure. I challenge you to get up again and try again. I'll be right back. All right, so I made an executive decision. We're going to split this podcast topic up into 2 episodes. I'm going to come back next week and give you themes 3 through 5 from The Alchemist by Paolo Coelho. And we're going to talk about how you can apply them to your life to help you achieve your goals in 2023 and beyond. So stay tuned. Come back for episode 2 next week, and you'll get numbers 3 through 5. But I really hope this has blessed you, because it's been blessing me and talking to me. So here's the quote of the day, and it is from women's soccer legend. I'm just going to say soccer legend, period. Mia Hamm. And it says, failure happens all the time. It happens every day in practice. What makes you better is how you react to it. Okay, so I feel in my gut that this has been an amazing part 1. And part 2 only gets better from here. So please come back, rate the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast with your best friends, with your sometimes friends, with your part-time friends, and with your never friends. Y'all just share it out and bring people in to see what we are building together. I'm so excited. And your ratings and your subscribing and your downloads, all of that, those are so helpful in the longevity and viability of a podcast. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you for coming in every week to get cheered on and coached up. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Pep Talk Pod. On IG, you can find me at _JB Speaks. You can also visit our website, thepeptalkpodcast.wordpress.com. And of course, email at thepeppodcast@gmail.com. Y'all, I just feel it. It's about to get peppy. It's about to get peppy in your life. It's about to get peppy in your mind. It's going to be so good. I hope that you're blessed. I will see you next week. Can't wait to see you again. Reach out, holler at us, but y'all be blessed. Thanks for rocking with the Pep Talk Podcast, episode 3. And that's a wrap. See you next time.